Alrighty, everybody, it is currently June 28th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live. Coming at you live with a nightcast. A nightcast at 9:15 p.m. Ooh, the Devil's Playground. The Devil's Hour. The hour of frolicking and fun. Frolicking and fun in bed. I'm your host. I was trying to do my sexy like black guy like jazz radio host voice there. You know what I mean? Because I do, as much as I hate to admit it, I do have a bit of an NPR voice. You know what I mean? I'm not super quiet. You know what I mean? And I definitely don't speak like they speak. I'm not using words like, I don't know. I was trying to think of one. I couldn't think of an NPR word that like those nerds used. Nuanced. It's nuanced. It's complex. It's a very deep rooted system. No, I'm not. I don't know the NPR words, but I do have an NPR voice in the sense that I'm very nasally, and they too, are a group of nasally people. They got some schnozzes on them over there at NPR. I don't know what it is. They're all the Jews just love public radio. I don't know. I don't I don't know what it is. That's like a new stereotype. Like Jews love public radio. All the NPR hosts are Jewish or half Jewish at least, right? If you see an NPR host and his last name is like Smith, I guarantee you, I can guarantee you, you take a trip to that Wikipedia, you're gonna be seeing a different story there. You're not gonna be seeing a Smith story. You're gonna be seeing a Bergstein story. You know what I mean? You're gonna see a story, not of a man from England, but of a man from Poland who thinks he's from Afghanistan or Iraq, whatever the fuck. You guys know what I mean. But today's episode, this one is, maybe gonna be a little offensive, but I was listening to Tim Dillon today and I realized I'm just sick and tired of talking about the Muslims and the Jews. Not really the Jews as much, like that's what Tim Dillon said. He was like, I'm sick of hearing about the Jews and the Muslims. I don't know. Something about it. I'm always down for some good J talk. You know what I mean? Whatever the topic may be. But I'm kind of sick and tired of the muzzies, dude, right? Because it's a little played out at this point. It's a little basic, you know what I mean? Being like the enemies of America are in the Middle East. No, they're not. The only bad people in the Middle East are killing each other, right? Like that's what's happening in the Middle East. The Middle East isn't, coming up with like some grand scheme to launch a fucking land invasion into the United States. There's not going to be like a D-Day in Los Angeles or whatever the fuck these people think is going to happen if we don't nuke Iran. There's no, they're not going to be storming the beaches of fucking Destin, Florida on boats and shit, while they get mowed down. It's not going to be some saving Private Ryan type shit. It's not going to be, there's not going to be a Muslim D-Day. I know it may seem like there is, and they kind of are doing that in England. To be fair, there is. That's that's how they get to England, right? Because there's like mainland Europe where they go to, but then like I don't know what it is about like Britain, but like the UK, England, they have like some like benefit for refugees where it's just, I mean, Arab money. Like literally the Arabs are going to the UK to get that Arab money, and so they always cross the English Channel and they do it on like these like little boats, right? Like they're not big ferries or passenger ships or whatever. They're like little shitty boats, and so it is there is kind of a Muslim D-Day going on, but not in America. It's guys, it's not gonna happen here. I know it would be fun if it did. It would be fun, if you came off the fucking beaches, you know what I mean, dressed in robes and shit, just sprinting at you full speed while you and your fat wife are trying to, tan in the Gulf of Florida. The Gulf shores of Florida, but it's not gonna happen. I know it would be fun. I know it would be fun to be like, they're here. You know what I mean? Your big fat ass, your big 300-pound ass who's drank nothing but Mountain Dew your entire life, never had a sip of goddamn water, never had a sip of fresh water. You're basically Indian at that point. You've never had a sip of something that didn't come from a bottle in a can or whatever the fuck, and you think you're gonna stop the Muslim D-Day. You're not gonna do it, dude. They're gonna overrun you. You know what I mean? These guys, they see the babes first of all. Just imagine being Muslim, dude, and they're like, we're gonna send you on a D-Day mission to the United States, and he's like, well, I'm gonna die. I'm 100% gonna die. But then you hear the news, dude. You're going to Destin Beach. You know what I mean? There's gonna be some young babes there in bikinis. I know they're excited. I know they'd be excited about that. I know they'd be hyped the fuck up, dude. Like 12, like a nice 12-year-old in a tankini. I know. I know the boys would be getting rowdy. They'd be like, "Send me over, dude." It would be the opposite of that scene in Saving Private Ryan, where they're like throwing up on the boats and like doing prayers and shit. They'd be praying, but they'd be praying like, "Thanks, dude." They'd be like, "Allah, dude, you sent me to the place where fucking 12-year-olds wear bikinis." I'm like, Allah, thank you. Let's fucking go. And so I wanted to get that out of the way. I'm tired and I'm sick and tired of talking about the Muslims for the most part. You know what I mean? The Jews as well. The Hindus, I haven't talked about them a whole lot. Um, but I mean, just everyone is. There's literally nothing I could say that hasn't been said about Indians. Every single derogatory thing that could be said about Indians has been said 1,000 times minimum on Twitter. Minimum 1,000 times on Twitter, dude. And on 4chan, forget about it. On 4chan, anything you can think about an Indian, any derogatory thing has been said millions and millions of times, probably by the exact same guy. the ex- the exact same guy has been saying the exact same things about Indians for years. And so we're talking shit about the Christians today. We're talking shit about no, look, I'm going for everyone. The Catholics aren't even safe here. Usually this is a Catholic defending podcast. God damn it, dude. I fucking hate this thing. I hate it so much. I hate it. All right. Hopefully that'll work. Hopefully I'll be able to get my words out. I'm Seabiscuit in the stable. I'm bucking and hooking. I'm kicking, dude. I'm saying, let me out there, dude. I don't care if I break my leg and you have to kill me on this horse track in front of 20,000 adoring fans. I don't give a fuck, dude. And that is basically what I do every single episode of this podcast. I just go out there and I'm like a horse. I'm like a 40-year-old horse. That one guy, he roided that thing up and he got it in the Kentucky Derby, and I'm sprinting around that track in every episode. I'm not really sprinting. I'm barely moving, but somehow I managed to break my leg. Snap it right in half, dude, and they have to bring out a revolver and shoot me in the head in front of all those southern gambling addicts that are at the Kentucky Derby or whoever the fuck goes to the Kentucky Derby. It's I always found that funny about like the Kentucky Derby is that they dress up like it's some like great elegant sport. No, it's like it's the least elegant thing possible. It's horses that are on I mean steroids you couldn't even fathom, dude. People talk about like bathtub steroids with like bodybuilders or whatever and it like turns their arm blacks or whatever or turns their arm black or whatever the fuck like these clandestine steroids do. But like they're shooting the good shit up in the horses, you know what I mean? That real FDA banned shit, that shit you can only get in a third world country. That's what they're shooting up in these horses. And these horses are just sprinting as fast as possible around a dirt track. Like the last thing that horses are meant to do, right, is sprint in like a perfect circle. Just, I mean, ripe with opportunities for their legs to snap in half, dude. It's like the least dignified sport. And they all dress up like it's still the fucking, antebellum times, pre-Civil War times. And they go out there and they watch these horses fucking sprint as fast as possible. And I guess it makes sense why they do that, you know what I mean? Because they can't have slaves do it anymore, so they got to have horses do it now. But that being said, I am a proponent of dog racing. I don't know, something about it. Something about dog racing. Maybe it's because there's not like a human sitting on the dog's back and like beating it with a fucking, leather strap like they do in horse racing. So I think I'm a little more chill about dog. Like that's just dogs having fun. You know what I mean? It's just puppies playing basically. Yeah, does a puppy occasionally break every bone in his body and have to be killed in front of a bunch of people? Yeah, every once in a while the doggy does that. But hey, man, dogs they're like kids. Sometimes they break every bone in their body and you have to kill them in front of a stadium of gambling addicts. It's just what you have to do. Yeah, kill them in front of a stadium of people all wearing sweatsuits because that's who goes to dog races anymore. You know what I mean? If you're still going to dog races, if you're still going to, cock fights, chicken fights, rooster fights, whatever you want to call them, if you're still going to that, you definitely rock like shitty Walmart, bright red fucking not even gym teacher, like below gym teacher sweatsuits, you know what I mean? Like recently divorced dad who's like kind of accepted the fact that he's going to lose his job. Like that's the type of sweatsuits these people these people that watch fucking dog racing, that's what they wear. They just wear it's like that shitty cotton, like what's the brand? Gildan or whatever. They don't even have a Champion tracksuit or sweatsuit, which I guess Champion is a little more like mainstream now, but back in the day that was a Walmart brand. But And that's what they watch, dude. And it's, they should be watching this. That's what they should they should be doing. They should be tuning in. Like the good people on Reddit, dude. I might have found the only like chill people on Reddit because I did an episode recently about chiggers. Chiggers, right? You hear, IGGR and you hear Reddit in the same sentence and you assume it's who we're asking some questions. We're, studying some skull sizes and stuff. No, I'm talking about chiggers. It's a small biting insect. They don't even bite, I guess. They implant larvae into your skin. But anyway, the kind people on the chigger subreddit, the mosquito hating subreddit, and the bug bite subreddit. All very nice people over there. They're the only nice people on Reddit. It truly is. Even when people are nice to you on Reddit, they're still somehow mean. But I think there's something so pure about these communities. They just really hate these fucking little bugs. They despise them with every fiber of their being. But and that just makes like their interactions with people like so much better because they have a thing that they hate. They have a very specific thing that they hate, and it's a thing that most people hate, if not everyone. It's I'm sure I'm sure there's like some weird fucking freaks you can find out there that are like fuck me, I hate this shit. All right, this is third time's a charm. They say I'm keeping in all that. I don't give a fuck. I might edit it out. I might edit out the parts where I'm whining and I'm like, oh, why won't this work? Why isn't everything in my life perfect? I might edit that part out. Just 'cause no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear a grown fucking man whining about anything unless he's whining about chiggers, all right? Unless he's whining about those little things that they hate. That I hate so goddamn much. But anyway, anyway. It's yeah, the people on the bug subreddits are nice. These people, they've chosen a thing to hate, and that's all that they hate. They don't care about anything else. I'm sure none of these people are like deeply religious or like fundamentalist extremists or whatever. They just despise insects, and that's all they hate. And that's maybe something more people need to tap into, where you just really fucking hate something. You know what I mean? Just something innocuous too. You can't be, it's people are like, well, I do that, and I do it with black people. No, that's not what I mean. I mean like pollen or something like that. It's the ones that I can think like potholes, right? If you're just a guy that really hates potholes and that just like consumes your whole life, I don't know. There's something chill about that, right? Like that guy, he might rant to you about potholes, but he's not going to be ranting to you about like the Jews or the Muslims or whatever. He's just going to be ranting about potholes all the time. And now you have a pothole friend, which that is, because dude, sometimes a pothole really pisses you off. You know what I mean? It's when it's a real deep one, and you can tell it's like a fresh one too. And it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, this is a fresh pothole. This is an opportunity. Like, if a street is littered with potholes, it's almost like a thing of like, fuck it, who cares? But if there's one pothole there, if there's one fresh one, it's like, well, let's fix this now so that the road remains pristine. But if it's already fucked, then you know, obviously something about human nature is just like, it's gonna be fucked. Fuck it. Who cares? But you need a pothole friend in your life. You know what I mean? Just someone that can rant and rave about something that you care about a little bit, right? Like mosquito bites, but it could be the dead of winter. There's not a single mosquito around, and somehow this dude is still ranting about how much he fucking hates mosquitoes. I don't know. I think that's a good thing to have in your life. A good thing to do in your life, right? A good person to have in your life and a good thing to do in your life. A friend group should consist of just like 8 to 10 people who don't really talk about anything meaningful other than like the specific like niche thing that they hate. That's what I think a friend group should be. It should just be 8 people, and each one of them just hates like a little like pet peeve or like minor inconvenience in life, right? Like you have a friend that doesn't like people who chew loud, and just always, oh, he could have not been to a restaurant or heard someone eat in months, and he's still gonna be ranting about that shit. You know what I mean? It's you better not open a bag of chips around that guy. You know what I mean? But he's still outside of that. He's a very good friend, and so I think that's what that's the target. That should be the goal when you're kind of figuring out who your friends are going to be. It should be just four or five. Hey, you could just have three. You could just have three different dudes who each hate like a really small thing, or just one dude, and you just go back and forth bitching about shit, dude. He'll hit you up being like these fucking road signs, none of them are painted properly. And then you're just like, yeah, let me tell you about mosquito bites, buddy. All right, you ever had a mosquito bite on the back of your leg? Let me tell you what, that is not a fun goddamn experience. And so I think that's what friend group should be. just bitching back and forth about nonsense. Because when you bitch about the real stuff, like that kind of that can open up the opportunity for like a chasm or like a schism between you two to be created, right? But if you're just talking about complete and utter nonsense, just complete, like mosquito bite. No one, yeah, I'm sure there are people out there that are somehow advocating for mosquito bites, some like weird psychopaths that like doesn't understand that humans and animals aren't the same thing, being like, you can't kill the mosquitoes. You can't kill mosquitoes. It's like, yes, I can, dude. It's like whenever I hear a vegan that's like really about that life, you know what I mean? Like they're really like throwing up the set, wearing that red bandana, that blue bandana everywhere. I guess it's a vegan, so it would be a green bandana, but really, like they're gangbanging. They're basically gangbanging about veganism. They're like, fucking, I ride on this shit. You diss cows in my neighborhood, boy. I pull up on you, air out the whole fucking block if I hear you talking shit about a pig. It's but every time I hear like one of those people that's like a militant, just fucking advocate for veganism or like animal rights, right? Like there are some vegans that are like, yeah, it's just like it's really bad for the environment, which it isn't, but whatever. But like the real animal rights people, I'm like, I'll kill my dog in front of you right now, just to, just to shut you up, dude. Shut the like that. It really makes me want to become like a hardcore like Catholic, like a human beings are meant to like God put us here to fucking dominate and destroy the environment. Like that's what it makes me want to do. It's just like Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, that was a perfectly timed Jesus Christ because this shit stopped working again. Well, I don't know. I think it's gonna keep recording. That's what it did last time. Last time it like the screen popped up and I wasn't able to get it to go away, but it kept recording, kept. It's you can make up words like that. Who gives a shit, dude? Some fucking no nerds are. If you're a nerd listening to this, if you're like someone who's gonna correct someone else's grammar, like for real, right? It's or especially pronunciation. Do not correct my fucking pronunciation, dude. I will slap you in the goddamn teeth, and then I'll fucking pull out whatever victim card I can and get you fired from your goddamn corporate job. If you talk shit about my pronunciation, I'll be like, I'm a Native American, and this is how we talk. And he said something about the way I said a word. I'll call you out for microaggressions all goddamn day if you correct the way I pronounce a word, right? If the grammar is like completely off, if I'm like, the hill, I walked it up, and the hill, it's a hill, it's steep, and I walked up it, right? Like that's a retarded thing that I say, but what's even the point of correcting someone's grammar at that point? Like that's clearly a person whose mind is gone, right? Whether it's permanent or temporary, whether it's retardation or a fucking mental break, whatever it is, that person's mind is, it's no longer here. They're doing something else, and we wish them well. We do. We wish them well in their endeavor into the world of insanity and being completely detached from reality. 'Cause that's a fun thing to do. It's a nice graduation point that I think we all should reach, right? We should all get there. Like these boomers holding on for dear life, trying to talk about like socio-political fucking whatever the fuck that's going on in the world. Like those guys, it's no. You're fucking old as hell. Start drinking heavily and just let your mind completely slip away from you. It'll be fun. Trust me, I swear. It'll be fun. You're just sitting in a bed all day while like some hot nurse who's like 50 years younger than you feeds you morphine and oxycontin. Like just embrace that life, dude. It's a great one. It's a fun one. It's not a long one, but it doesn't need to be, right? It's people that's a problem nowadays. People trying to extend the fun, trying to take the fun too far. No, the fun starts and then it finishes and then it's done. All right, leave the fun there, right? Like that's what nostalgia is basically. These people, these fucking 35-year-old people who go to Disney World every single day of their miserable, fat, fucking smelly lives every day of their diaper wearing, fucking tantrum throwing. I know it sounds like I'm talking about a baby right now, but no, I'm talking about 35-year-old millennials who go to goddamn Disney every day. That's what nostalgia is, and I hate it. I despise it with with every fiber of my being. Oh my god, that's so nostalgic. Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, yeah, being a kid was fun. Sitting around all day being like, got this penis, dude. Sometimes it's fun to play with. I'm sitting here watching Phineas and Ferb and stuff. Yeah, that's a fun time. You know what I mean? Just laying on the couch, watching P and F run around, build creations, build roller coasters, geodesic domes or whatever the fuck. But you got to leave that in the past, dude. And it's even worse when people that are obsessed with like Disney. I don't I don't get it. I didn't probably watch a whole ton of like Disney movies growing up, but I don't get it at all. I'm like, why are you obsessed with Disney, dude? I'd be obsessed with like the parts about like childhood that ruled, like not having to do anything. And I guess that's what they say. They're like Disney. Here you can act like a kid and not do. It's like, well, you're still an adult acting like a child, right? That's completely unacceptable, disgusting behavior inside or outside of Disney World. It shouldn't be done. If you're an adult acting like a child, I don't care where you are. I really, I really don't give a fuck, and I don't care if you're mentally disabled either. That's another thing. Like I feel like they just get all the passes in the world, and it's like no, this is an adult human. They shouldn't, I shouldn't. I'm not like being like this guy needs to go get a job at a fucking finance office, but it's like he's an adult. Treat him like a fucking like I'll see that with like Down syndrome people where people will be like, "Oh my God, he's so cute." It's like, no, he's not cute. He's a 30-year-old man. Yeah, does he say funny dumb shit sometimes? Certainly. Does he have like some weird talent where he's really good at shooting three-pointers? Yeah, he he might do that, dude. But he's also an adult man. It's Stop call stop calling him like he's a cute, adorable little puppy. Not a fucking. I don't get it. It's like no, that's a grown ass man. He's a grown ass man whose brain isn't all the way grown up, but for the most part, he is. He's got all the important parts of being a man, dude. They can become alcoholics. I know that for a fact. I don't know where I've heard that, but I know they can become alcoholics. So boom, step one. He's basically a dude already. They're horny all the goddamn time. That's another one. And all they really desire in life is a mommy to take care of them. Step three. I just described to you 95, if not 99% of the non Down syndrome adult men in this country. What do they call it? Neurotypical, something like that. Whatever the fuck it's called. That's nearly 99% of them, if not 100%. And some of them, even if you're gay, you still want mommy to take it. You still want her to make that fucking baba for you. You want her to make that cinnamon applesauce that you love so much. It's everyone. All the dudes want that. That's all they want. Or the other option is they want to like kill women for sexual gratification. That's the other side of that. Like if you didn't have mommy growing up, if mommy was a drunk hooker, then yeah, you want to kill women for sexual gratification. But everyone else, every dude that's not that, is the exact same. Even the ones with Down syndrome, whatever label you want to put on them, I believe that they're all the same as us and they're equal. And it's weird that you're calling a 30-year-old man adorable. Yeah, it's odd. It's unusual. I don't I don't like it, and I certainly don't condone it. But what I do condone, though, is the seven deadly sins. I don't condone doing them all the time, but every once in a while, you need to indulge in some envy. It's just really good. Envy, just hating on a motherfucker sometimes. Sometimes that's like the most satisfying thing you can do, is just absolutely hate on just anyone, anything. And that's like the root of a lot of hate. Like a lot of these people you hear like talking shit about like the communists. We talked a little bit about what's his face, the fucking Indian Muslim dude who's running for mayor. Like the communists, they're really about. They're just kind of jealous. They're just kind of like that guy has money and I don't. Now sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're right, and Jeff Bezos does have way more money than any person should have. But like a dude, a dude with like $10 million, I don't know. They just assume that if you have more money than them, which is negative money, every communist has negative money because they're all in mountains and mountains of student debt. But if they think if you have like any more money than them, that you like poisoned a river in Africa or some shit to get it. Like they can't fathom that a dude built like a good plumbing business and just like got his money by like providing like a quality service to people. They just they can't even imagine that, dude. They're like, if your house is more than 1,500 square, if your house is more than an apartment that you share with eight other people, then you are a vile piece of shit who has committed every crime imaginable to get the money that you have. Right? I think that's what they think. I'm not sure, not 100% sure. I've never really met one of them. No, I have. I went to a liberal arts college. I've met probably several of them, but none that are too outwardly horrible. I'm sure they go home and they watch like Hassan. And by the way, Hassan is just like the Muslim communist Ben Shapiro. It's I want people to realize that. But he's even somehow more of a loser than Ben Shapiro because he's probably around the same age as Hassan's like 40 years old. That guy is literally 95 years old. That guy's a grown man. That guy should have a 401k and a wife that he hates. Like that's how fucking old this guy is. And they're like the same age, but like one dude sits and they're both equally abhorrent, annoying people. And that to me is the greatest sin. Forget about the seven deadly sins. The greatest sin, the greatest, crime against man that someone can commit is being annoying. But Hassan, he just sits in that room full of like Pokemon fucking plushies or whatever the fuck, and just goes chat, chat. What do you think about Mein Kampf? I bet this more he like watches Charlie Kirk clips or whatever. I've never actually watched the guy. I've seen him before, and I know Sam Hyde threatened to skin him alive, but other than that, I really know nothing about. I've seen like pictures, like maybe like 2-second clips, but I refuse to watch it. I know how insufferable he is because, like I said, he's just Ben Shapiro. He's just like somehow even more of a man-child religious fanatic than Ben Shapiro, and he really is more of a fanatic about communism, right? In the same way that Ben Shapiro is a fanatic about Judaism. Neither of them really follow it, right? Like Ben Shapiro is not like an actual Jew, and Hassan isn't an actual communist, but still, somehow they have like just a religious fervor about these ideals. And I just wanted to put that out there, that those two are the exact same person, and that might curry me a little bit of favor because I do think I'm gonna post this on the Catholicism subreddit or like just all the different Christianity subreddits that I can, and they're gonna be probably none too pleased when the real discussion gets started. Sorry, because this is not about. We're not talking theology here. We're not talking about God in any way, shape, or form. We're talking about which one of these, just a general ranking of them, like which one is like the most fun to indulge in, which one is like the worst, to do, just everything about it, which ones are like the most sustainable, right? Like greed, you look around at the world around you, dude. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, these fucking tech 100, fucking not even tech billionaires, tech trillionaires at this point. Greed is a sustainable one. You know what I mean? Gluttony, not so much. It's pretty fun while you're doing it. It's pretty fun eating, 3 gallons of ice cream a day, eating ice cream like it's milk, dude. Right? It's pretty fun doing that. Uh, but it's not a very sustainable one. You know what I mean? Or if your gluttony is like alcohol or whatever, you want to get blackout drunk every day, you can do that. I'm sure it's a great time when you're doing it, but it's not the most sustainable. Wrath, yeah, same with wrath. Like a real wrath, like I know a lot of people hold grudges and they're like, that's not real wrath, dude. I'm talking about full on, like, right? Like a homeless dude overdosing in meth in like Phoenix somewhere, just like true anger, just like screaming at the sun. You know what I mean? Like that's true wrath. And so I think this is going to be a shorter episode because I already tried to record it 3 times and I've lost about an hour of recording time. And so I think we're just going to get into it. And if you don't know, real quick overview of the 7 deadly sins. Number 1, we got pride. I guess this is in order. Yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas, who was like a Christian theologist, I think, or Catholic theologist, he figured this one out. He said, "All right, God gave him to him, but I just got to see what's going on here. I got to really, really pin it down. Like, what does God think?" Number 1 is pride. That makes sense for Christianity and like I guess Catholicism, right? God above everything. So pride is number 1. Greed number 2. Lust number 3. Envy number 4. 5, gluttony. 6, wrath or anger, and then 7 is sloth. And that's shout out Thomas Aquinas, dude, because he knew what was up. He knew God didn't care too much about you sitting on your couch munching Doritos all day. He was like, yeah, he probably gets a little bit pissed about that like you're wasting your life away, but at least you're not like actively destroying your life in a way, if that makes sense. It's you can be slothful without being, gluttonous. You can be just a dude hangs out on a couch all day, scratches your nuts and shit, just watches TV, has a grand old time doing that. And so I think Thomas Aquinas, my boy, I think he understood that one. And so number 1, I think number 1 for now, it's it's not the most sustainable one, like I said, but I think number 1 we are going with gluttony. And gluttony does kind of sound like a name that it sounds like kind of a white trash name. Sounds like a name that someone who lives in a trailer park would give her child who is destined to also live in that same trailer park. Like that sounds like something you would hear. Just gluttony, get in here, gluttony. What you doing out there, gluttony? Gluttony, this is your 7th abortion this month. Gluttony, gluttony. Where's my food stamp card at? Like that sounds like a name like that, and I do think it's number one, and I will give my reasons. Number one, like I said, not sustainable, but there is ways you can tweak it a little bit. You could just being a pure gluttonous slob, indulging in every little thing. You can't be doing that. You gotta kind of choose one thing to be gluttonous about, and hopefully you choose a sustainable one, right? Like food. You can be pretty gluttonous about food, especially in modern America, where I mean, the entire healthcare system is based around fat people, right? Just like figuring out how to make fat people live longer. That's our entire healthcare system. They don't care about like kids with cancer or whatever. Yeah, St. Jude's doing some good work. I'm sure they're actually not. I'm sure they're actually like trafficking like organs and like kids and shit. But I'm sure they're doing some good work. But like the entire healthcare system is based around trying to figure out how to save fat people from themselves. Right? Like that's what Ozempic is, lap band surgery, liposuction, all that shit, dude. We haven't figured out a cure to like the common cold, but like if you want to be fat, if you're 500 pounds, you could be 300 pounds in a week like that, just because of how much American healthcare is focused on it, right? So it's food is probably what most people think when they think of gluttony. And in modern America, that's fairly sustainable. Like you go to any local Walmart, you see some dogs riding around on the scooters, dude. You see some big bulls. You see some, you see some things that could feed a family if could feed a small village in Zimbabwe somewhere. Like that's how large some of these people are, and you really pay attention, you'll see some old ones. You'll see some ones that are we're talking 70s probably, and you don't want to live longer than that, especially if you're a big old fat bitch, especially if you're a big old fucking tick, dude. If you're a big old dung beetle, you don't want to be living past your 70s. And then an important uh, side note that it has here: gluttony is usually understood to include drunkenness, which that one's a little less sustainable unless you got a lot of money and you can afford a liver replacement here or there. But it's not just the liver; it also like severely fucks up your brain too. And because it's poison, right? Like that's how alcohol works, I guess. It's like it slightly poisons your body somehow, and that's why like an alcohol hangover is so bad because you basically are recovering from poison. And so, not the most sustainable. As long as you're drinking past 5 p.m., though, I think that was a good rule set by Jimmy Buffett that he then like immediately broke. He immediately like did the thing that like Orthodox Jews do, where he's like, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, though, right? Like, if you don't know, the Orthodox Jews like they're not allowed to use electricity on Saturday, and so they'll just like turn on all the lights in their house and like just keep the lights on for like the entirety of Saturday to be like, we never flipped the switch on Saturday, so God's not angry at us anymore. And that's what Jimmy Buffett did with the 5 o'clock somewhere, proclamation. He said, well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. He said, technically, if you follow the rotation of the earth and sun, he started doing some Galilei style physics, dude. Fucking Jimmy Buffett hit up Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was like, dude, I need to figure out a way to make it always 5 o'clock. And Neil, he went into like one of his classic nerd rants and he was like, well, technically, if you think about the position of the sun in the sky, and then it's always technically 5 o'clock somewhere. And Jimmy Buffett was like, hell yeah, fucking, I'm never gonna talk to you again because I'm gonna be blackout drunk for the rest of my goddamn life. And so, yeah, Jimmy Buffett figured that one out. But I think if your gluttonous habit is alcohol, you can find a way to make that one a little bit sustainable. And then you got, you know, alcohol and food are probably the two biggest one. Weed, yeah, I'd say that's a little more sustainable than alcohol. Maybe not as sustainable as food because that's a drug. Weed is a drug. I know a lot of people for some reason just don't want to be able to accept it. They're like, no, this thing that I smoke that makes me feel really good. It's not a drug, actually. It's like that's exactly what a drug is. That's the first thing. That's on the precipice of my mind when you ask me what a fucking drug. When I hear the word drug, I instantly think of smoking something and having it make you feel good. So yes, it is a drug, and it fucks with your brain a little bit, probably your lungs too. But you know, it's more sustainable than alcohol. I'd say far and away more sustainable. But I don't know at this point, and where medicine is at, I don't know if it's more sustainable than food. But I just think overall, number one, gluttony it's just the best one, dude. It's especially as an American. As an American, I have to put it number one overall. Sustainability as well as it's just the environment you live in, right? It's you know, I live in America. I can't walk 5 feet without seeing some, I mean, gluttony on a scale that's almost unimaginable, right? It's like when you live in like a violent neighborhood and you're a little kid, like a little kid in like fucking O Block in Chicago, and you're seeing people getting killed every day. It's in your mind as just being like, yeah, it's normal. It is what it is. And I think that's where gluttony is at for me. And I think that's also where it's at for most Americans. And now we have number two on our list. And number two on our list, I feel like gluttony being number one kind of, tips off this pick a little bit, but I think sloth is number two. And I think sloth probably the most sustainable. Greed might be a little bit more sustainable. Depends on how greedy you're getting, how much you're taking. If you're really good at stealing, then it's ultimately sustainable, right? Like the Rothschild, like that guy lived till he was 100 and spent literally his entire life stealing. He stole 6 hearts. That guy got 6 heart replacements in his life. So he spent his entire life stealing, lived to 100 years old. And so I think maybe greed is slightly more sustainable than sloth, but I think sloth is a lot more fun. It's especially for me, like I said, big old fat gluttonous American here. Hey, put my hand up, take credit for that one, is what it is. I think I think it's more sustainable. I think it's more fun to indulge in, just laying on the couch. For greed, if you want to be really greedy, like you got to go out and work to be greedy. It's you can reach a certain point where you don't have to, right? And you can just like passively steal billions and billions of dollars from people like, Jeff Bezos does that, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, I'm sure they all do that, but it's you got to go out and work to get it. You got to really get it out the fucking mud. You know what I mean? And so I feel like for that reason, it's not going to beat out sloth because sloth is anyone can do that. Anyone can be slothful, dude. It's a really inclusive sin. It's I'm sure the people, the neurodivergent people with like autism or ADHD or whatever, they're like, no, I can't. It shouldn't be included on the list of 7 deadly sins because I can't participate in it or whatever the fuck they say, right? And I'd be inclined to agree with them because I'm in a similar predicament, right? I can't. I'm sure internally I am capable of being greedy, but in terms of the amount of work you have to put in to be greedy, it's just too much. It's a little bit too much. It's not the most, it's especially if you really get a good system going. Like if you really hit one early, then it's not too hard. But I think for most people, it's it's a little bit tougher to be greedy than it is to be slothful. And so I feel like for that, it's more inclusive, it's more sustainable, dude. There are people that don't leave their couch for their entire life, dude. There are people that literally, like the movie Seven, which is about the 7 deadly sins, like get fused to their fucking couches. Like they melt into their couches. Like literally, a fucking invisible welder comes along and like attaches them to their couches. Like there are people that do that and they do it well. You know what I mean? They wake up one day and just the sofa cushion is like fused to their back. They turn into a teenage mutant ninja turtle real quick. So there is some people that do that, and I think it's one that at some point, like greed. I feel like there are people that are capable of staying away from greed, just as a whole. Like they're capable of being like, nah, I don't need that. It. I'm sure it depends on the culture that you come from, especially like some cultures are all about like sharing and like giving the shirt off your back or whatever. Boo, gay. I'm an American. We're the opposite. I'll fucking beat you to death and steal your shirt. Even if it doesn't fit me, I'll fucking take it from you. So, so fuck those people. But yeah, I do think that greed is a little bit easier to resist as well. Like you could go your whole life without indulging in greed, but if you're trying to look me in the face and tell me you've gone your entire life without being slothful at least once, it's you're either a liar or the lamest person to ever exist. So, and then we got alrighty, everybody. We are back and we are live. It's the next day. It's uh June 29th, Sunday, 2025. And I had to take a break there. You know what I mean? It was getting late at night. The sound of my smooth, sultry voice was echoing through the empty hallways of my house, and I didn't want to wake anyone up. So I had to put the kibosh on it. All right, sorry. I know most people on the internet are the most wildly inconsiderate people you've ever met in your they're always the biggest assholes. Everyone is on the internet, including me. I'm always the biggest asshole on the internet. In reality, I'm just a meek little mouse. Just a meek little mouse in here trying to find jokes I can make about the seven deadly sins. And it is very early in the morning. My mind's going at a decent pace. Usually this early in the morning it's nice and slow, but I do think that the Diet Coke is contributing to my mind going as fast as it is right now. It's not actually a Diet Coke. It is, I lied, it's a Coke Zero. And some people will be like, "Oh, well, you don't drink coffee. You don't drink coffee. You don't drink coffee either." Most people who talk about drinking coffee have never actually tasted coffee before, especially young women. It's young women of any race. A lot of people will put this just on the whites. All right, it's not just the whites. It's the B's, the L's, the A's. All of them. They're like, "Oh, I drink coffee. I love coffee." It's not coffee. You've never tasted coffee in your entire life. You've tasted a milkshake that somehow they put coffee into. That's what you've had. Even those people that are like, "Well, I drink iced coffee. I drink vanilla iced coffee." Huh? What about that? Huh? And it's like, well, that vanilla. You're not tasting the coffee. I don't know what a latte is, but I assume you're not really tasting the coffee in that either. It's all of these drinks that Starbucks sells. Starbucks isn't a coffee place. It's a how can we make this not taste like coffee place? Because these none of these people I I don't think I'm not gonna say they don't like coffee, but they've never had coffee before. It's not something they've ever indulged in their lives. It's they've thought about doing it, right? They've drinking the thing, right? The frappamake or whatever the fuck it's called, and they've been told there's coffee in there, and so they're like, "Oh, well, I've drank coffee before." There's no way to know. That thing is so filled with fat and sugar. There's no way to know if there's actually coffee in there. That shit. I've had one of those before. That's not coffee. I've had regular coffee before, and I've had one of those fucking Starbucks drinks before. They're not the same. They're not the same at all. I'm sure even if you order a black coffee from Starbucks, it's you're not getting black coffee. You know what I mean? It's they're still putting something in there. They're just lopping off like a piece of butter or something like that, like a little scoop of Crisco vegetable shortening, just somehow getting some extra fat in there. You know what I mean? Because straight up coffee, I've had it before. It's not good at all. I don't, because it's it's a drink, like a flavored drink. I don't like just like a flavored drink, right? Some people in my family, they drink like those sparkling, the waters, like the LaCroix type shit. And it's like, well, no, I want sweetened. I want it to be sweetened, right? If I'm gonna be drinking a flavored drink, if I'm gonna be going out of my way to not be drinking water or milk or whatever, I want it to be sweet as well. It doesn't have to be like real sugar. I'm fine with fake sugar. I love fake sugar. Fresca is probably my favorite pop of all time. I love it. I love that fake sugar in there. I love the taste of it, especially in Fresca. And I think the reason Fresca is so good, like good tasting, and you can't really taste the fake sugar as much, is because it's like designed to be a fake sugar drink, right? Like I'm sipping on this Coke Zero right now. I don't know if they changed the formula of Coke, right? Like the flavorings too much to adapt to the fake sugar, right? And so I think for that reason, I think Fresca is probably like the best like zero sugar pop drink you can have because it's like designed to be zero sugar. And yeah, if you want to know how gluttonous I am, I'm breaking down the debate between real sugar and fake sugar in pop at what time is it? It's not that early. It's 10 a.m. I was gonna say early in the morning. It's fully 10 a.m. People have been at work for like 3 hours by now. People I know have been at work for 3 hours by now. Fuck them. Fuck 'em. Be unemployed, dude. And this is the other thing, dude. If you're gonna be unemployed, be unemployed. Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. All right, if you're gonna do it, do it. I know there's people out there that are like, they jump around a little bit, and it's like if you need the money, I understand that, but it's like I don't really need them. Especially I got like a nice little side gig that I do every once in a while. Not even every week that I do. I hope this is recording. I swear to God, if this isn't recording, this whole episode is getting scrapped. I'm just gonna accept the fact that what I'm doing is like hearsay or blasphemy or whatever, and that God's not having it because the fucking thing popped up again where it's like unable to connect, but I'm pretty sure it's still recording. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be unemployed, go full force into it, right? And make the best out of it. And that's the other thing I have to say about being unemployed. A lot of people they don't make the best out of it. I'm recording, 4 podcasts a week. Is that the most productive thing to do? Probably not. Probably no one will probably listen to this. But hey, man, it's better than nothing. It's better than just sitting around, flicking your bean or flicking your dick or whatever these people do all day. Which, hey, look, I'm not gonna lie, I do that a fair amount. But it's you might as well be a little bit productive with it, or at least like do something that you wouldn't normally do if you had like work or whatever. Like I probably wouldn't be recording this much if I had like a 30 hours a week job or whatever the fuck, or even like 25 or even 5, to be quite honest with you. Even if even if I was only working 5 hours a week, I still wouldn't be putting out this much. I wouldn't be putting in work like that. You know what I mean? Um, but I think it's time to get back to the sins ranking. Just a reminder, and this is really a reminder more so for me now that I'm thinking about it, because this is coming right after, the part that I recorded last night. Number 1, we have gluttony, and number 2, we have sloth, which, I mean, yeah, I just said I'm unemployed, so obviously those are going to be my top 2. But now we have to figure out number 3. So, number 3, we have to choose between pride, lust, envy, or wrath, or greed. And greed's number 2 on this list. I think it goes like pride is the worst, greed is the second worst, and then after that, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth. And I think it's a tough one, because it's like I don't think most people understand like how greedy some people are, dude. Like it's you might like not give your friend like $5 that you owe him, and you're like, dude, and you kind of feel like a piece of shit because you're like, dude, it's just $5, and this dude's like one of my best friends. Like, why am I not giving him the $5? That's like if Jeff Bezos had like 1/1000th of that empathy, right, to like give someone the $5 he owes them, he would have no money. He would be dead fucking broke, dude. Amazon would not be like the global or the dominant force in this capitalist society. And so, I mean, considering that, it's like some people are just so goddamn greedy. I'm like greedy in the sense that like I don't know. Like I'll eat a little bit more. Like when I go to get seconds and no one's looking, like I'll throw an extra scoop of chili in the bowl or whatever. Like that's the type of greedy I am. But there's people with just like absurd greediness out there. I mean, it's really hard to fathom, And same with the gluttony and the sloth. Like, and sloth isn't that hard to fathom, especially for me. Especially if you're an American, then you can fully, understand like the depths that people go to, when they're indulging in gluttony or sloth. But it's hard to imagine like the depths they go to when like they're indulging in greed. And it's not just greed for like money or food or like land. It's also greed for power. That's an important part of greed that people don't talk about a lot. Is that these dudes are super greedy for power, which I've never really been. I've never really been greedy for power. Anyone that's like led a group of people before, you're like, no, 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 I don't want that. I don't want to do this unless I have to. Like that's how I feel about having power. It's like I don't want to do this unless it's the final fucking option. Like yeah, I can lead a group of people, but like why would I want to do that? What's the incentive for me doing that? And so, but I mean, looking at the rest of this list, we have lust at number 3. We could, match where they're at, because lust is number 3 on like in terms of it's the third worst one. I'm guessing is what the numbering system means, and I might have to agree with them right there. It's lust or inordinate or illicit sexual desire. And so illicit, I don't really know what that means in this context, because illicit means like underlying, but I wonder if it has another definition, right? Because like illicit normal, so explicit is like outright, like the explicit truth of a situation is like something you say, and then the illicit truth is like it's kind of underneath it a little bit. I think that's what it means. But apparently here it means not legally permitted or authorized, unlicensed or lawful. So unlawful sexual desire in the context of Christianity or Catholicism. And that's most of it, to be fair. It's look, I don't want to shit on the Christians too much, especially the Catholics, but that's most sexual desire is considered illicit within, especially some of the more extreme sects of Christianity. Um and so I think for that, it's like everyone does it every now and then, and dude, especially with like the internet and the phone. And it also is, I mean, it's fairly sustainable. It depends on what you're doing, you know what I mean? There's some extreme lengths that people go to. They're going to the playgrounds, they're getting like an ice cream truck and putting like a fucking jail cell in the back of it and nabbing kids, Can't be doing that. That's no good. I don't even know if that's lust though. That like those people, I don't even know if it's. I guess it's sexual, but it's like it's. I don't know. I feel like it's something even like weirder and more perverse than that. Like they're just because it's just it's insane, right? It's literally insane being a pedophile because anyone that spent time around kids, especially those dudes that are into like 14-year-olds, dude, if you've ever spent time around like a 14-year-old as an adult, I'm 7 years removed from being 14, and I'm still like, how does anyone do this? How? Like you, and it's like very limited. I'm trying to think of like the last time I talked to a 14-year-old, and I really can't. But it's like, it just I have like this feeling in my head of like that's a retarded person. Like that's they reach like 14 is like somehow the peak retardation of kids, right? Or maybe like when they're a toddler a little bit, they're pretty retarded, but then they just get to 14 and they become like super retarded again, like 12, 14, like that type of range. And they just become just so stupid and just so much more fucking annoying. I don't know how they like they treat you have to be truly a sick, maybe it's masochism. Maybe it's masochism like these pedophiles, right? Like maybe I don't know because they're insufferable. Like teenagers, if you're a teenager listening to this, you might not be insufferable, but I feel like for the most part, it's it's not a fun time, dude. They're not having fun. No one's having fun. They're kind of angry all the time, frustrated, because it's almost like it's like this weird middle ground when you're like a teenager of like you kind of know what the fuck to do, but like you can't do it. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of want to act like an adult, but you can't, and so that like really frustrates you a whole lot. And maybe that's why they're angry all the time. They're probably also angry because they're having like hormones flooded into their fucking body, right? That probably throws off the brain chemistry a little bit, makes them a little bit fucked up. But I mean, they're not fun to be around, dude. The phones have pacified them a little bit, which that's no good. If something pacifies a teenager, that to me is like a bad sign. Like that's a sign that it's like a deadly thing, right? Because a teenager, it should just be like pure fucking chaos, right? When you're like 14 years old. But if you're like pacified by a phone or whatever, even like not chaos in the sense that they're like running around doing whatever the fuck they want to do, but like it should be a little bit there should be some problems, right? Like if you're 14 year if you have like a kid or whatever and that kid's 14 and they're like not having any problems, like they're not getting in any trouble or like doing anything weird or whatever the fuck, like that's even more concerning, right? Like having a clean cut 14-year-old is I'd get that motherfucker checked for autism or something because it's you know what I mean? It's like even then, even if you're autistic, I feel like if you're 14, you're gonna be running around doing some fairly dumb shit every once in a while. You don't need to be getting like expelled from school or whatever, but I don't know if you like go your entire teenage years without getting yelled at by your parents. I don't- that's concerning to me. That's a little bit concerning. You should be misbehaving a bit here and there, and just being like generally like pissed off at the world for no reason. But like there are some 14-year-olds that are like justifiably pissed off at the world, but for the most part, like white teenagers from the suburbs who never had an uncle that got a little bit antsy, like they have no reason to be pissed off at the world, and yet they are. And I think that's fine. It's I don't know. It's just what they do. And so we're putting lust at number 3 just because I feel like that, you know, it's. But now that I'm thinking about it, man, just like the weird shit people get up to when they're doing lust, right? Like when you're getting gluttonous or you're getting slothful on them, you're not getting into like super weird shit, right? You're just kind of being lazy and eating a whole bunch of food and getting drunk or whatever. If you get drunk, you might be getting into some weird shit, but that really has nothing to do with the alcohol, right? Like there are people that are like, yeah, I don't know, for some reason I just cry when I'm drunk. It's just what alcohol does to me. And it's like, no, I think you have like some deep held issue within you because that does not happen to me. Like, at all. It's one of those things where I'm like, these people they just like blame it on it's like that song, I blame it on the alcohol, right? But it's like, no, I think you just have like a very like deep issue within your soul somewhere. I don't think that has anything to do with the alcohol because there's just some dudes get blackout drunk, they're on a basketball game or whatever and have a grand old time, or they just hit the road, and basically play Mario Kart in real life, you know. And that's what drunk driving it's like. It's like playing like the hardest Mario Kart difficulty with like the worst cart. If I had to imagine, I don't know. I've never done it, but just putting the context of driving, I've driven before and I've gotten drunk before, and just putting those two together, I can only imagine how awful it is. Like truly. Like why would anyone want to do that? Like there's people out there with like 8 DUIs and it's like that sounds like the worst thing ever. I would never that not just because of like the danger aspect of it, like looking at it just from like a purely selfish context, that sounds awful to be driving drunk. It sounds horrible to be doing that. Just like for yourself, right? Forget about like the safety of others. That just doesn't sound like any fun at all. I'd rather like sleep in the fucking grass. Right? Like that sounds like more fun to do when you're drunk than get in a fucking like 2,000 pound vehicle and drive 60 miles an hour. That sounds like literal hell if you're drunk. But it's, you know, lust at number three is just because I'm thinking about it within my context of just like jerking off, hitting up the hub, seeing what the hub has to say, seeing what new BBC gangbang is on there. That's like the context that I'm putting it in. But I guess like there's people that take it. I don't guess. I know for a fact there is people that take it a bit of a step further than that. But it's like if lust isn't at number three, then what is? Maybe wrath. I've been big into wrath lately, especially because my car is like a piece of shit and the brakes aren't working. Like my brakes on my truck are, it's not good, guys. I might have to spend some money. I don't know if I've said this on here, but this has been my summer of not spending money. I might have to spend some money this summer on getting my brakes replaced because it's bad. And I already have road rage for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's not really road rage, it's road fear. And it's like a PTSD style fear. Because like when I was first learning to drive, I almost got in like a crash on the highway, but like I didn't really almost get in a crash on the highway. I like merged when I wasn't supposed to, right? But like just that moment, it just gave me like just road fear. I don't really have road rage, but you can't be scared when you're driving, so you might as well be angry. And yesterday, I had some bad road rage. I was full on like ranting in my car, just like, you don't know how to fucking drive. I'm driving a piece of shit and I'm going faster than you and making better turns than you. What the fuck is wrong? Like, I was like fully screaming in my car, windows down and everything because the AC doesn't work, dude. If anyone else had the windows down at that point, they must have been like, all right, I'm just going to get off the road because this guy. This guy's about to turn into fucking Killdozer or something. This guy's about to throw a blue shell at me. This is not a good scenario to be in. That's like how angry I was. If like anyone heard me, they'd be like, "Well, I'm just gonna take a different route to where I'm going. This guy he can do his own thing." you know. But I hate driving in the suburbs. I really hate the suburbs as a whole. And like I was like thinking about it and I was like the reason I hate the suburbs is because it's like the definition of having your cake and eating it too, right? Where it's like these people they want to live in like around a city, you know what I mean, where there's like work and you can go to your fucking like shitty office job or whatever. But they don't want to live the city lifestyle. They want to live like a small town style of life where they have a little bit of land and they have like a big old house and it's just when you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Like that's why the suburbs don't really, function efficiently. Like nothing, the suburbs are like the least efficient, cityscape possible. There's nothing about them that makes any sense at all, right? Like they try to, BlackRock and these whoever the fuck, designs like these big suburban plans or whatever. They try to make it efficient. They try to make it work, but it can't. It either needs to be a city or a small town. You can't have both. And I really do hate the suburbs and I really do hate driving in them. You know, just people in the suburbs because they're all, I don't know, they're just horrible fucking drivers. Like people in the country, like they might drive either fast as fuck or slow as fuck, but like, I don't know, just something about it's like more consistent. But people in the suburbs, I don't know, like their brains have been like so numbed by living in this completely, unnatural, poorly planned environment. Like their brains have been destroyed by that. They're just awful fucking drivers. I don't know what it is. And so I think maybe we'll put wrath at number three and then we'll see where we could put lust. Because lust, honestly, I know I just put it at number three, but it might end up at number seven just because I didn't consider all of the options when it comes to lust, right? I didn't consider, you know, the people out there that aren't just, doing standard stuff. doing the standard, hooking up with a fat chick or whatever. I didn't consider, anyone taking a step past that until I really started talking about it out loud. And so I think we're gonna put wrath at number 3. And I think, if you're a woman, then maybe that doesn't appeal to you as much. But the men out there, the men know wrath is definitely a top 3 7 deadly sin. You know what I mean? It's a really fun one to do, especially because dudes play a lot of video games, especially like Call of Duty and shit like that. It's and like that is just it's so fun to rage when you're playing like Call of Duty or Fortnite or like dude Helldivers. I got Helldivers for Christmas and I played it for probably 8 hours a day for like a week straight. And I was like, all right, we're done with Helldivers because just something about it. Like this is how I know I can get addicted to gambling because I got so addicted to fucking Helldivers, and that's why I'm kind of grateful that my internet's a little shitty because it's like I can't play Helldivers at my house anymore because it's like a fully online game, right? And so I can't play it. And I'm overall pretty thankful for that because I would get fully addicted to it and just it my parents would go from hearing me make anti-Semitic jokes on a podcast to hear me just like screaming at this video game because that's what I would do, dude. Especially some of the maps where like the enemies just keep coming and coming and coming, dude. It's like a fucking bukkake. It's just come everywhere. It just keep on coming, dude. I would like rage at those, like full on, like gripping my control, like nerd rage, just like like that type of like uh, it's like you're so fucking frustrated that you're about to cry and your voice is just like what do what? Like that, like fully that. That's what I would be doing. But it's fun to do that sometimes. It's fun to just like full on like nerd, like fucking toddler in a grocery store rage, right? Like when a toddler, when he doesn't get like the toy or whatever, and his parents haven't beat him enough, and he's just like in the floor, like, or on the floor, like kicking and screaming, right? Like they do that for a reason. It's pretty fun, whether you're a toddler or an adult, just do it. And women do it too, but they do it like not about like video games and like maybe not as much about driving and shit like that. Like when a dude gets road rage, he like gets out of his car and shoots someone. Like when a woman gets it, she like shits on the other person's car. And that literally happened. A woman like shit on another dude's car during like a road rage incident. And honestly, that's like better than a gun. That's like better than pulling out a gun and like shooting someone. For one, no one dies. Secondly, it's just so much more like disrespectful. Like if someone shoots you, then like that kind of means you like view them as a threat, right? Like if you shoot someone, it's like that means I think that guy's like a threat to me, but just shitting on someone's car, like that's like some real, like you're punking that motherfucker. You're being like, yeah, you're my bitch, dude. I'm gonna shit on your car. It's everyone gets involved with wrath, no matter what. Everyone gets a little bit wrathful every now and then, just a little bit pissed, especially with like technology and shit. It's just so fun to like just fucking like look at your computer and be like, you fucking piece of shit. I never should have bought you. You know what I mean? Because you can't say that to your kids, right? But you can say it to your computer. It's just, if you're wrathful towards like inanimate objects, that's like a good call there. And so I think for that reason, we're going to put wrath at number 3. It's everyone does it. It's fairly sustainable. I mean, yeah, you might like blow out your vocal cords or whatever from like screaming at your TV. But I think, other than that, if you can keep your wrath within like a certain, avenue, a certain context, then it's not half bad. It's a half decent thing to do every now and then. And so I think for that reason, we're going to put Wrath at number 3. It has sustainability. It has that fun factor in it. As long as you're not shooting anyone, guys, you can't be getting violent during Wrath. Not physically violent, vocally violent, verbally violent. I don't think I have a problem with it in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Just like leaning out of your car window and being like, "You fat piece of shit! I'll fuck it." You fat piece of shit, you don't know how to fucking drive. You know what I mean? Like that's like a fun thing to do. And you're not hurting anyone. Like that person's already fat. You didn't make that motherfucker fat. That motherfucker was fat to begin with. And, it's not your fault they can't drive. It's just sometimes you got to call a fat motherfucker fat when you're having a little bit of road rage. And it's just, it's fun. It's cathartic. As long as you do it in a cathartic way as well, I'd say like just I feel like some people like they kind of like don't let the full wrath out. You just got to let the full wrath out and just let it like dissipate into the air. It's fuck those Buddhist monks and their like meditation or whatever. Don't like internalize it and then let it drift away. Externalize it and then let it drift away. And so I feel like for that reason, we're going to put wrath at number 3, because you can be wrathful without really, hurting anyone too much. You're just hurting yourself, which, that's not great. You shouldn't be hurting yourself. But when you compare it to lust, like lust and wrath as well, like they can both end up with like a little bit of like external damage to other people, but like wrath definitely less so. Especially me. Like I know me, I don't really like yell at people too much. Unless I'm really pissed off, I'll spurg at someone every once in a while. But that's like every few years. I'll really spurg at someone like that, being like, "Oh, what the fuck is wrong with it?" I'll do that every like few years. But other than that, my wrath is mostly directed at people that can't hear me, or at like inanimate objects or whatever. And so I feel like, and that's most people's wrath. Like most people aren't like running around like grabbing people by their hair and being like, "Hey, fuck you," shaking their heads and shit. It's most people are just like yelling at the computer, yelling at the phone or whatever the fuck, just yelling at their car, or just yelling at the fat lady in front of you in her, Toyota sedan, just yelling at her. And so I feel like for that reason, most people, they don't really damage anyone besides themselves when they're, wrathful. So I feel like for that reason we got to put wrath at number 3. Fairly sustainable, and as long as you do it right, you're not hurting anyone. You're not doing too much damage to people outside of you. You're doing it to yourself, but not to too many other people. And wrath is number 6. So that means it's like the second least worst. You know what I mean? Like sloth is like the least of the sins, and then I guess wrath is like the second of the 7 deadly sins. And so, yeah, I think that St. Thomas Aquinas, that was a good call by him. You know what I mean? Because he understood most people. They're not being outwardly wrathful. They're not running around with like machetes cutting off people's heads and shit. They're just like yelling at whatever the fuck. I'm sure, when did it say St. Thomas lived? 13th century. So yeah, like 1200s. I don't know, like maybe there was like an equivalent of gamer rage in like the 1200s, like people like yelling at their oxes or whatever the fuck, like yelling at their field plows. But so that was like, he understood that. He was like, hey, sometimes you just got to yell at like a fucking ox or a horse or whatever, when you're plowing the field, or you got to yell at your grains for not growing. I think he understood that. And so now we're on to number 4. And what we have left is pride, greed. Yeah, pride, greed, lust, envy. Yeah. And then that's it. Those are the 4 we have left. So we still have the top 4 left. And I think that makes sense because, it goes in order of like the worst to the least bad. And so we have like the top 4 worst ones. And number 4 is envy. I think envy, I was saying lust might end up at number 7, but I think envy is more likely to end up at number 7 just because it's so, there's like nothing productive that can come out of like envy, like true envy of like being like, I want what that guy wants. It's like the only way you're going to get that, having exactly what that guy has is like by destroying him and like destroying his life and then taking everything that he has. And so I feel like overall, envy is probably the most externally destructive of them all. Greed's certainly up there, same with lust. But I feel like envy is just, I don't know. I don't feel like anything can come out of being envious. If you're greedy and then you kind of like, hoard a whole bunch of money and then you have a change of heart one day, if you have a bit of a Scrooge moment and you're like, "Oh, I need to help these people. I need to like buy this fucking kid whose legs don't work. I need to buy him a goose for Christmas." Like, I don't know. Like I could see something positive coming out of greed. Lust, maybe to a lesser extent. Same with pride. And so I feel like that gives us our answer right there. And we'll put greed at number 4. Because of them, it's like the least externally damaging, and it's, something good could come out of it, and making money. It's good to be a bit greedy, just a bit greedy here and there, but I don't really know what like the religious definition of greed is like in this context. I know like what our version of greed is. I wonder what like the biblical version. So greed in Roman Catholic theology, is one of the 7 deadly sins. Greed is defined as immoderate love or desire for riches and earthly possessions. A person can also be greedy for fame, attention, power, or anything else that feeds one's selfishness. So, yeah. as a deadly sin, greed is believed to spur other sins and further immoral behavior. Yeah, that's like one of those things where it's like if you're greedy and you're like, well, I'm just gonna like steal this money from this guy real quick. It's just $5. It's almost like that deviancy amplification spiral where it's just like it's like a snowball effect almost where it just gets like worse and worse and worse and you keep stealing like more things from more people. And then when you've stolen like all the money you can, then you try to like steal power from people and try to like gain all the fucking power you can. And that's kind of where like Bezos is at this point. Like Bezos, he he'll never be able to spend all that money. It's literally impossible for Jeff Bezos to spend all of his money. And so now he's going for power. And so I think that's maybe what it means by like it spurs other sins, you know what I mean? In the pursuit of, trying to get money or gold or fame or attention or whatever, you start to do other immoral things to get it. And I think that's true of all the sins. That's how I interpreted it at least, where it's like, but sloth though, that's always been like a funny one to me. Being one of the seven deadly ones. I don't know. We could replace it with maybe something else. I think we might have to have a talk. If I ever get to meet Thomas, Big Tommy Aquinas, if I ever get to meet Tommy, the I don't know. I was trying to think of a nickname for St. Thomas Aquinas, but if I ever get to meet Big Tom, as we'll call him, uh, I might have a bit of a discussion with him about this, being like, we're putting sloth at number 7, seriously? Like that one, I don't know. It's it's at number 2 on my list because it's like it's not that fun, right? Like gluttony's really fun to do. Just eating as much food or getting as drunk as you can. Like something about that is fun, but just being slothful, I don't know. It just doesn't seem as fun. Like all of these other ones, there's a bit of fun involved in all of them, right? Like I said, wrath, just like screaming and like punching holes in the wall. That's a little bit fun. It's not something I condone. It's not, I wouldn't call that good fun, but it's a little bit fun. Same with gluttony, greed. I'm sure that has a bit of funness to it, but I feel like most of the people who are super greedy, whether it be for money or fame or attention or whatever, like they're not it's not like rewarding for them. It's not like I don't know how to explain it. It's like they're filling a hole inside of their soul. Like with gluttony, some people do that, right? Like some people they have experienced major problems in their life and so they're engaging in gluttony to try to fill that hole. But then there's other people that are just like, no, I really like food and like getting drunk. Right? Like I feel like that's a decent portion of the people who are gluttonous, but I feel like everyone who's super greedy for whatever it is, they're like trying to fill a hole in their heart, right? If that makes sense. As opposed to gluttony where it's like you could be like a fully like not self-actualized person, but not have any like super major problems and you could still be a glutton. Whereas I feel like with greed, if you're like super duper greedy, I'm not talking about, stealing a bit here and there. Like if you're super super fucking greedy, I feel like you're just trying to fill a hole in your heart somewhere, you know? And so I think for that reason, greed is just, it's just kind of lame in general. It's pretty fucking lame to be greedy, especially for like attention. Like it's like for money, I can kind of understand that. I can't just kind of understand that. I can fully understand that. I can fully understand being greedy for money just to, be able to do whatever the fuck you want. But being greedy for attention or fame or whatever, it's like, I don't, that's one that I personally don't get, which does seem ironic considering that I'm that I'm trying to get attention right now. But I don't really even care about the attention too much. Like no one really listens to this podcast too much. And so I'm kind of fine. I'm not like too fucking attention hungry. I'm a bit attention hungry. I'm a bit, that's kind of why I say, racist, anti-Semitic things every now and then just to get a rise out of people. So I am a little bit greedy for, attention, but I'm not too terribly greedy for it, and that's one that I can't like fully understand, and I guess that's why I don't do it, because I can't fully understand it. I can't fully fucking grasp it. Right. And like I said, a lot of those people that are super greedy for attention and fame and shit, like they probably like have a hole in somewhere in like their heart or their soul or whatever. Like their mom one day was like, you'll never get attention from me, right? Like their mom never paid any attention to them. And now they need the whole world to know how, I don't know, great they are, or just the whole world to like know who they are, right? Because like some of these people, they get attention by being like giant pieces of shit. right? Like a lot of the serial killers that they talk about, you hear them talk about these people, and like part of it is like they love like being notorious, being infamous and shit like that. And that's probably because like their mom was like, fuck you, I'm not paying attention to you. It's I think I understand being greedy for money, don't understand being greedy for attention. And I think there's a way you can be greedy, a little bit greedy, without like completely destroying other people's lives. And so I feel like for that reason we put it at number 4. Not too there's ways you can do it without, hurting other people as much. And maybe I'm like completely not understanding the definition of the deadly sins. Like maybe it only becomes deadly when like you do it too much. Like greed greed only becomes like true greed when you're like completely abandon everything else for the greed. Maybe that's why when it becomes a deadly sin. But I'm just putting it like in the context of like any amount of greed. Same with gluttony, same with sloth, same with wrath. Like I'm sure it's fine to be angry every now and then, but maybe it only becomes wrath when you like let it consume you. Maybe, but I don't really fucking know. If St. Thomas Aquinas, if you're listening to this, and I know that you are, fucking hit me up, DM me on Instagram, and we can talk about this a little bit more. Okay. And then we have 3 left, and then there were 3. We have pride, lust, and envy. Those are the 3 left. And pride is number 1 overall. It's the worst one, and I do understand why it's number 1 overall within the context of Christianity. I know I already said that. I said it last night though, so for me it's like an eternity away, but for you it was like 20 minutes ago. And so, you know, I'll just reiterate, pride is number 1 because it's you value yourself over everything, including God, and that's like kind of the antithesis of Christianity and Catholicism, and just like that shit. It's about like submitting to God and his will, and just like letting him guide you in life, as opposed to listening to yourself. And so pride, lust, and envy, this is a tough list, right? Because like I said, lust, it's something everyone does every now and then. Everyone engages in a little bit of lust, even if you're not jerking off, right? Let's just say you go to your mom's or your friend's mom's house, and you see your big fake tits and you stare at them a little bit. Like that is considered lust, and it's personal experience of mine that I experienced recently. I looked at my friend's mom's big fake tits. um and so even that's lust. And so I feel like for that reason, like I don't fuck with pride too much. Like J. Cole said, all right, pride is the devil. Not a personal favorite of mine. I don't know. I'm one of those people, like I fully understand that I'm wrong about most things. And so I don't know. I have no problem with like not being super prideful. I guess I'm a bit prideful here and there. Everyone's a sinner. It's kind of like the whole point of Christianity. Everyone sins a little bit. That's why you go to confession and get baptized and like pray to God and shit, so that you can get your sins absolved. So everyone sins a little bit, but I'd say pride is like the one that I engage in with probably the least out of all of these, right? Like I don't know. I'm sure maybe to other people, I don't know. Maybe other people I interact with will be like, "No, you're a fucking asshole and you think you're right all the time." Maybe I do that, but I feel like I don't do it as much. Like I don't care too much about being wrong. What I do care about though is people's response to being wrong, right? Where if I'm like, yeah, no, I was wrong about that, and someone's like, yeah, you were wrong about it. You were wrong about it. Like that makes me never want to admit that I was wrong ever again, right? Like that when someone's like, yeah, yeah, you were wrong about that. Now you see my side, and they're like being an asshole about me being wrong, and it's like, no, dude, I was just wrong. Like there's nothing there's nothing wrong with being wrong about stuff, right? But there is something wrong with being wrong and then like never being able to admit it to yourself, which maybe I can like outwardly admit that I'm wrong, but maybe internally I'll be like, no, I was fucking right about that shit, dude. Fuck you. That's like maybe the extent of my pridefulness, is like me being outwardly being able to like acknowledge socially that I'm wrong, but like being internally being like, no, fuck no, I'm always right about everything. Right? Like that little itching feeling in your brain being like, no, I'm never wrong about anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm a fucking psychopath and I'm just admitting to being a psychopath, but I feel like I can admit that I'm wrong to other people and still in my brain a little bit be like, no, but I was kind of right about that. But just being like, whatever, let it go. Not the end of the world. And it's just pride. I don't know. people offering unsolicited advice, I'd say, pisses me off a fair bit. It just, like, there was this, I was driving to shoot guns with my siblings the other day, and we're driving through the country to get to the shooting range, and there was this cow, or not cow, this baby calf that, like, got outside of the fence, and this lady was like, don't go near it, don't go near it. And I was like, because we pulled over on the side of the road to, like, make sure it doesn't run in the road and get itself killed or, like, fuck up someone's car. She was like, don't go near it. And I was like, bitch, God, like that's when I get really prideful. When, like, someone, when it's like, yeah, no, I know, and you're giving me fucking advice about something that I already know about. That really, like, is when I'd say I feel my most prideful. To be just shut the. I know. It, like, pisses me off so much. Just something about it. And guess what? She was wrong about that too, because I was walking back and I got kind of close to the cow and it, like, went back through the fence. So fuck you, lady. And she called the cops and shit to get the cow. It's like, no, just find the dude's house who has the cow. Like, this isn't this that big, you know what I mean? This isn't Wyoming. These aren't like 40,000 acre ranches. This is like 10 acres of land. You can walk that in like 5 minutes and find this guy's house real quick. Like, I don't know why you're calling the cops for a cow on the side of the road. But yeah, no, fuck that lady. I was right. I know I wasn't supposed to go near the cow. And when I accidentally did, it went through the fence. So fuck you. I was right. I hate you, bitch. I guess I am. I guess I am a little bit prideful. But envy, I guess I get a bit envious every now and then, especially, like, doing this when I see someone who I, like, feel like, I don't know, is less talented than me, and I'm not even that talented. But I feel like there's so many people, like, any like the most famous podcaster, like, I listen to those people. I'm like, this guy, like, gets the most money, and that's what it is, dude. All I want is the money. I'm a sellout, dude. I'm a fucking I will immediately sell out if I need to. I'm all about the money, dude. And that's why I personally put greed above, envy and lust and pride and all that, because it's like, yeah, no, I know. I know I'm a greedy motherfucker. I know, give me the money, dude. Give me the fucking money. That's all I care about. That's all I care about, really, in regards to this. It's like, that guy's making more money than me and I'm making no money. So literally everyone's making more money than me. But every once in a while, especially like those chick podcasts, like my sister, when, like, we would drive back and forth from college and shit like that, and she'd listen to those chick podcasts, I'd be like, how? How? I don't understand that. And that's like a little bit of my pride coming out, like me not being able to admit that, I don't know, I just don't appeal to a lot of people. That's what pride is. Maybe pride is like an irrational belief about, like, your sense of self. But I think we're gonna put lust at number five, because it just envy is, I don't know. I don't get the super duper envious, and it's like, I can't be, like, permanently envious. I know, like, some people can just, like, really hold that, like, in their soul and in their brain, and just, like, have that on their mind 24/7 of, like, I need to get what that guy has. I don't have that in me, like, at all. I'm like, fuck that guy. Like, whatever. His life is probably just as miserable as mine, even if he does have more money than me. So I'm not, I don't know, just, and this is a personal ranking list, and so I'm sure some people will disagree with me, but it's not that fun to be envious. Like, every time I feel it, I'm like, how much of a little whiny bitch am I? And I'm like, no, I deserve it. I deserve it. Like, these other ones, like gluttony, like whenever I'm envious, I can, like, kind of, like, acknowledge that and be like, that's some bitch shit. Like, why are you being a bitch about that shit? But, like, being gluttonous, I'm like, in the moment sometimes it's like, no, fuck that. I'm being gluttonous and I'm having a grand old time. Same with being slothful. It's like, yeah, no, I'm just, like, chilling on the couch. I ain't doing fucking nothing today. I ain't doing nothing. I'm gonna be a lazy piece of shit the whole fucking day. And so, those are ones that I can do, and, like, you feel guilty about it probably a little bit later, but, like, in the moment, you're just chilling. But, like, whenever I feel, like, envious of someone, I'm like, why am I such a fucking pussy? Why am I such a bitch about this shit, dude? And so I feel like we're gonna put lust at number five for those reasons. You know what I mean? At this point, we're not talking about ones that are fun to do anymore. I think greed was probably, like, the last fun one. We're just talking about the least shiny of the turds. And it's fun to be lustful a little bit. It's fun to, like, be like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm gonna jerk the fuck off. I'm gonna jerk off for 30 minutes straight, and then you come after 5 seconds, right? It's fun to do that. It's fun, you know what I mean, when you haven't jerked off in a couple days and you're like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. I'm gonna watch all the porn and just be like a lustful, like, piece of shit pig. It's it's fun to do that. But like pride and envy, like every time I feel myself being like prideful and being like, no, I'm right and that guy's wrong. I'm like, why am I such a bitch? Like, why do I even care? Why do I even care that like this other person thinks that they're right and thinks that I'm like, what does it matter? And so I think we'll put pride at number 6 and then envy at number 7. Just out of a personal preference, personal belief. It's I just I don't get envious. Maybe that's another reason why I hate the suburbs so much. Like the suburbs are like predicated on envy. It's like I need a bigger house than this guy. I need like a better yard than this guy. I need more plants. Like it's all predicated on like kind of being envious of your neighbor and like pride as well, wanting to be like better than that guy and like being right about how tall your grass should be or whatever. I guess I don't fucking know what people in the suburbs care about. But I feel like, all those factors coming together, it it just leads me generally to believe that envy is probably like the worst one. Like I could see that one like consuming a person pretty quickly, right? Because it's like there's always going to be someone out there that has something that you want. Like no matter what, I feel like unless you're a fucking monk somewhere and you live in a mountain and you're just like fully able to like disconnect from all that, you're always going to feel a little bit of envy for someone or something someone has. And so, yeah, I feel like for that reason, it's the least fun one to do. There's nothing fun about being envious. You feel like an absolute pussy when you're being envious of someone else, and it's also like it's very consuming. Like there's just always like you can be greedy. uh, I feel like there are people that are greedy and they're like, but once I get $10 billion, I'm not going to be greedy anymore. Like you can kind of stop, but I feel like with envy, it keeps going no matter what. Like no matter how much you have, you can always be envious of what someone else has. And so I feel like for that reason, it's a never ending one, no matter what, no matter the circumstance. Right? Like let's say you're like envious that this dude lives in a fancier neighborhood than you, and then you eventually like get a house in that neighborhood, and then you see a guy that lives in an even fancier neighborhood or has an even bigger house, and you're like, well fuck it, that's what I want, that what that guy wants. And so I feel like envy is like the most consuming. Pride is probably up there as well, you know what I mean? St. Thomas Aquinas, he probably knows a little bit more about this than I do, but I feel like I don't know, I'm able to put pride aside pretty easily, and I'm able to just be like, "Yeah, fuck it." And like I said, neither of these, I can't really like cling on to either of these like I can to like gluttony or sloth or wrath or even like lust. But I feel like these two, I'm immediately like, no, that's pussy shit. I'm able to like get it out of my head. And it's not fun to do it. It's not fun to be envious. It's not fun to be prideful. You know what I mean? But just because when you're really prideful, like people hate you because they're like, this guy's just a fucking asshole who thinks he's right all the time. And look, you might be right. You might be correct, but just being like prideful about being right too. I know I've done that. I know I've done the thing where it's like, yeah, I know you're wrong. Like as much as I talk shit about people doing that, I know I've done it before. I know I've been like, yeah, I'm right. Just like full on like chick shit, like, yeah, you were wrong and I was right. Yep, that's how things work. I know I've done that before. That's like a very prideful thing to do. But for the most part, I'm able to say fuck it. And when I feel like I'm being prideful, I'm like, why am I being such a pussy about this shit? And so I feel like for that reason, pride and envy are the last because there's like no, I don't know, for me personally, like there's no good feeling associated with it like there is with gluttony. Like gluttony, it's like eating a bunch of food feels physically good. Like maybe mentally, even when you're eating the food, you're like, I shouldn't be eating this, but like physically, it's very satisfying to do. Sloth, maybe not so much, but it's a big chillin'. I'm never gonna get mad. It's some big chillin'. Wrath, and I think I said envy is like the most consuming long term. I think envy is the most consuming, but in the moment, I don't think there's anything more consuming than wrath. At least for me personally, like when I'm feeling real wrathful, when I've got the wrath going full force, you know, I feel like that's pretty consuming. When you're just like angry and you're just like like that, it can kind of consume your whole body and like your whole like your mind. Like it flips a switch in your mind where you forget about everything else. And maybe that's a positive, dude. Maybe it's a positive to be wrathful every now and then and just like completely forget about everything else. And so I think that's fair at number 3. And so then we have the final ranking, my official ranking. Number 1, we have gluttony. Number 2, sloth. Number 3, wrath. Number 4, greed. Number 5, lust. Number 6, pride, and number 7, envy. I think the biggest one that people are probably going to be pissed about this one with this ranking is lust at number 5 because just I don't know, but I just feel like the extent that it can be taken to is worse than the rest of them, if that makes sense. And I said we're not going to get too into morality or theology or anything like that, but I feel like I don't know, just knowing that like how far people can take it, it just I don't know. And wrath, I guess wrath is kind of the same thing where it's like people can take it to the point where they murder someone else. And same with all of these, right? Like people can take gluttony to the point where they just become like just like a complete piece of shit. But I feel like gluttony it's least likely to like externally hurt someone else. Like I feel like gluttony is more of like an internal one. Same with sloth. And then I think envy maybe could apply to that list as well, but I think gluttony and sloth, the reason those two are number 1 and 2 is just because like they're the least likely to become externally damaging to other people. They can be. They can certainly become externally damaging to other people, but I feel like for me personally, it's mostly just me. Like I can work when like I live on a farm and my dad's like, "Hey, I need you to work." I can do that. I can stop being slothful for that. And I feel like most people can as well. You know what I mean? When other people come into the picture, they can stop being slothful or gluttonous. You know, like when people have kids, a lot of people who are drunks or they're addicted to drugs or whatever, like they're able to sober up when they have kids. And so I feel like they're the two least externally damaging. They're the two that you can really just like when you're doing it, you don't feel like a piece of shit. I feel like even wrath, when I'm like getting really angry, I can be like, why am I such a pussy? Right? And that's true of all of these, but I feel like wrath is, especially you can always have like that little moment, you know what I mean? There's always that little angel on your shoulder being like, stop being a bitch, dude. That's what my angel does. My angel isn't like, what you're doing is morally wrong. My angel's like, why are you being such a fucking pussy, dude? That's what my angel on my shoulder says. And so, yeah, that's the official ranking. Just to go over it one more time: 1 is gluttony, 2 is sloth, 3 is wrath, 4 is greed, 5 is lust, 6 is pride, and 7 is envy. I feel like that's a pretty good list. I feel like most people, just don't get too terribly envious or super prideful. On the internet, they certainly do, and that's one of the things about the internet is it really lets you indulge in all of these sins, right? It can help like amplify all of them. Maybe other than greed. Greed might be the only one that like the internet doesn't really help too much. But I feel like the rest of them, the internet definitely helps you do those a little bit more. And so, yeah, that's the official ranking. Took me 2 days and 4 recording sessions to finish, but hey, we got it. We got the ranking. Feel like it's a pretty solid one. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys have a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life. I hope if you're listening to this, and if he's real, then he definitely is. This is just guys joking around. It's just what I personally think about it. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I can acknowledge that it's not good and that I personally like it. So if you're listening to this, God, just know I'm not telling people to do this. I'm just saying it is what it is. People are imperfect. You know that just as well as anyone else. I know man. I'm not trying to talk down to anyone. I'm not trying to be condescending here. But yeah, good day, good week, good year, good life, good summer. I hope the rest of your summer is pretty fun. Hope it doesn't get too hot where you're at. Hope PG&E doesn't burn down, the woods in Southern California, and I hope it goes well for you. All right. Peace out. Peace.